Now that you have Minitab open to GB21 attribute agreement, let's take a look at what we have. We have 10 samples of M&Ms. Here's our standard column for our standard answers. We then have Joe and Mary and also Charlie who evaluated the 10 samples. Each one had a chance to evaluate them twice. Let's add a column here for names. And the names that we have Joe, Mary, and Charlie. Joe, Mary, and Charlie. We'll use that when we make our chart. Let's go ahead and pull down the Stat menu, Quality Tools, and now we can come down to where it says Attribute Agreement Analysis. We have multiple columns. So we're going to highlight Joe, C3, hold down the Shift key, and then I'm going to click on C8, Charlie. And now I've highlighted Joe, Mary, and Charlie, 2 columns each. I have to use the Select button here. If I double click it, only one entry would go over there. So we're going to pick the Select button. And now we have Joe through Charlie 1 as our multiple columns. How many appraisers did we have? We had 3. Number of trials. There were 2 trials per person. Known standard for the attribute is column C2, the standard. Information. Today, reported by Charlie, and this is for M&Ms. Options, we're going to leave it at the default. Graphs, we want to have all of this. Trials per operator, trials per appraiser, and put the figures on the graph. Results, percentage of assessment agreement within and between appraisers. And we'll say yes, we want that. Appraiser names, optional. Remember the appraiser name column we put in there? Well, let's go ahead and grab that. C9 is the appraiser names. And now we can press OK. And here's our assessment agreement analysis. So we see that Joe agreed with himself 100% of the time. Mary only agreed with herself about 75% of the time. Well, 70%. And Charlie, he was 100% in agreement with himself. Now, how did the appraisers fare against the standard? Well, Joe, he was only 30% agreeing with the standard. Mary was a little better at 50%, and Charlie agreed with the standard 80% of the time. So obviously we've got to do a little bit of work in here on our operational definition to get our appraisers to be reproducible. They were pretty repeatable, but we got to work with Mary to get her up to scale. And that's probably just going to be training and further refinement to take out any ambiguity that we had in our operational definition. If we go to the session window, and we can scroll up a little bit, we can see our assessment agreements within appraisers, each appraiser versus the standard, and then overall statistics on how well they agreed. Only 30% of the time did they all agree together, and only 20% of the time did everybody agree with the standard. So obviously there's some room for improvement there. If we go to the worksheet, we can see that it looks like there's some interpretation issues with cracked and chipped. Those are the ones that seem to stand out. And then maybe we need to do a little bit of work on shape. It seems like logo, everybody pretty much got the logo thing. So anyway, we go back to the drawing board, we work on the operational definition, We give everybody some more training, and then we repeat our attribute agreement analysis until we get our people up in the 90% or above range for repeatability and in the 90% or above range for reproducibility. And that's an attribute assessment agreement analysis in Minitab.